Hoeology. Welcome to Hoeology Podcast. This is your host, Destiny. Today I'm joined by Shaquelle of Urban Play,
Yes.
and we're going to be talking about all things kink, right?
Yes.
So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited. I'm really excited to talk about all the kinky things. It's Kinktober, you know, all of the
Yes,
good things
yes.
coming. So this is going to be a great time.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm actually pretty new to the whole kink life. I don't even know if I quite dabble in it. I'm more so
Okay.
like I just stand and cheer people from the sidelines. But I'm very supportive. I have a lot of friends, family, even that are like big into kink. So
Yeah.
this is I think a good episode for Hoeology because a lot of my listeners are people that are interested in things. They don't know where to find it. They don't know, what's okay, what's not okay. So
For sure.
I'm hoping this will give them some guidance.
I love it. No, I'm excited about it. Watching is participating. So, it counts. You're good.
Right. So speaking of being a newbie, kind
Yeah.
of tell me about your life before you got into kink.
I was young. Kink for me was it's bad and I always hate having to tell this story, but it's a part of the story, so we have to do it. But I stumbled upon kink through 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of
Okay.
Grey, the series, like the book itself, was
Mhm.
probably one of the first books I had read post high school.
Okay.
I'm not an avid reader. I know sometimes people are like, I love her. I'm like, that's not me. Please do not send me books to read. So it was one of the only books that I had read at the time, like post high school. It was that good to me at in the moment. I'm like 19. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard of in my life. And so, I read through like the first book in a matter of days. I got to the second one, and Tumblr was a really big thing back then. So this was
Oh
like
yes.
2012, maybe something like that. And so Tumblr was super cool. And I went on Tumblr and I started searching some of the words that I saw in the book. And I was like, oh, people are doing these things. Okay.
Right, in real life.
And for real, because Tumblr before that for me was like workout, right? Like I was on Tumblr for workout motivation and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I was like, oh, there's a whole nother side of things that I can find here. And so then it was just like, oh, this is interesting. I get to explore this. And I was in a lesbian relationship at the time. And so we had great sex. Sex was fantastic. I had lesbian sex is dope. So life was good, but I was like, hey, can I like hit you sometimes? Would you be interested in that? Like, it's just like, would you try it? I would like to choke you. What would you like to do that too? And she was like, yeah.
Right.
And so we tried a whole bunch of different things. And so for a long time, that was my only experience was with her because we were in this, fairly monogamous relationship outside of kind of
Mhm.
open, just random play. But at the moment, I didn't understand that like I can go to kink parties and there's all these other kink
Yeah.
people. My play can be kink outside of this. I just thought like I get to have sex with other people. It's not quite the same. This is
Right.
a relationship. It was very interesting, not weird, but interesting. But yeah, now here I am. I'm like, who wants to play? Let's have a good time.
I was definitely like thinking that, when you were saying how you're like, well, it's a little bit more like, and the more you look into it, the more you
Mhm.
find.
Mhm.
It truly is like an underground, different world
Yeah,
society. Like, and it just expands and expands and like branches of a tree, like roots of a tree. Like,
absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
And everybody's into something different. Like, that's my favorite thing too, is that, like, if you think you're weird, do a solid Google search. You'll find your people. Like, you
Right, right. You literally will for literally anything.
most
Um,
anything. It's just like, you got it. You can do this. It's okay.
right. So how has you said you were in a lesbian relationship at the
Mhm,
time. Now that you're more into kink, like as like
mhm.
a this is who I am kind of
Yeah.
thing, how has that affected your relationships going forward? Like, do you feel like kink helped you meet the type of people you wanted to be in relationships with?
A bit. I think that the big thing is that I always thought I didn't need this to be such a like main part of my relationship but that's like
Mhm.
not true because when I finally did when me and my ex-wife finally like separated, lovely girl, we just did make it work, but when we did finally separate and I got this chance to like really explore, not like I got a wife so we can do stuff but not a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
I got to really explore. I realized that all of my relationships at that point were fairly kinky, and then the first time I had a relationship that wasn't, I was like, what do I do with this? What do you mean you don't want to pick out my clothes? Like what's happening? And so there's so many things I long for it a lot. And
Mhm.
so right now, even my relationship dynamic right now, like not necessarily a very kinky dynamic. And so one of my big things that I told myself for the month of October for Kinktober was like, I'm going to learn how to self-tie, because that's a really big part of my kink. And
Yes.
I can self-soothe. There's a version of self-soothing. It's like, I can do this. And so there's other ways that you can kind of, try to supplement as necessary. But I just realized I was like, oh no, my main like partners have to be people who are interested in dynamics. And I always like, I don't need a dom, because that was going to come out really bad. But I have no desire to go through life without one. So there will always be dominant somewhere in my orbit at any given time, or it's not going to work out.
Yes, I love that. I like that you said, you have a kink and your partner may not be into it. So then you look for ways to self-soothe. I think that's a super important message, because when people are getting into kinks, or even like just finding out, they're like, oh, I can't tell anybody. It's still very taboo. It's still very like hush hush if you don't have that community around you. So
absolutely,
I think that's brilliant. Like being able to go, okay, well, how can I make myself, like, how can I get pleasure for myself without harming someone else,
For sure. Absolutely. And even if you do, like, even being a part of the community, there are kinks that are, to be very clear, there are kinks that are shamed, and those are, some of them need to be. But sometimes it's just kinks that are not like widely accepted. Like everybody likes rope. Like everybody likes rope. It's hard to find somebody that's like, I think that's stupid. Like everybody has some infatuation with rope, right? So if you're, a rope top or rope bottom, babes, you're never going to walk into a room where somebody is not interested in playing with you or interacting with you in some way. But I tell people all the time, my kink, like my relationship kink, is DDLG. And so DDLG is daddy, dog, little girl. And it sounds really bad when people say that. I'm like, please don't Google it. Please don't. Like every time I'm like, please don't Google it. Let me send you something really specific to tell you what I mean. But it's sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not accepted in like the space, or it's a little frowned upon. And so for a long time, I didn't want to tell people that. I was just like, oh, I'm a submissive, like, and I'm a switch. Like I'm a switch that leans submissive. But now I'm like, no, this is what I do, and I will find my people, and like that is okay. But know that like not everybody's gonna have similarities or likes or desires, and that don't like yuck other people's yums, because like, my mom always says like, just keep living, because 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh, this is disgusting. And today I'm like, I would like to try that before the year's over.
Yes. That's a great point of don't yuck each other's yum. Which brings me to my question of, I love that in your bio, you have hashtag it's not white people shit.
Yes.
Because I feel like when people hear some like any kinks that aren't considered like normal, like, right, you have foot fetish, that's like normal, everybody knows about it. But when you have like DDLG, people are like, that's for white people. And it's like,
it's not what it is. And I like to do that because people do that a lot, right? People are like, oh, this is that white people shit. I'm like, it's not. There are so many Black people in this community, and it's like wild. And we won't get more Black people in this community if, one, the only face they see is white people, right? Like I live in Austin, and a lot of the kink, like at this point, the community has started to grow more, and there are a lot of people doing events now. But a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago, I went to this event that was supposed to be BDSM related, and it was nothing but white people. There were 5 Black people in the entire room. There was 1 Black performer, and even though she was a Black performer, she performed in a way that it was like for white people kind of thing. Like it wasn't for us. Like it wasn't. I was like, oh, that's not for me. I'm sorry. Like it's just, I know that you're not doing this for me. But it's like we can't get more Black people in if they don't know where to go, what to look for, or that like they are accepted and that they can come in as themselves. I used to say a phrase like, I'm like a traditional Black girl. Like I'm not really into anime or the whatever, this or that. And like, I didn't mean it as like an insult, because Black people are not a monolith, right? We come in all different shapes, sizes, things that we like. But there was a specific type of Black person that I always saw in the kink scene. And it was always like the anime, stick my tongue out, do the thing with my eyes, girly. Like it was always that. And I was just like, I think white people like you because you're trying to assimilate to being them.
Yes.
That's why you're accepting these spaces. I want to turn on Megan Thee Stallion. I would like to listen to
I
Young
know that's
Dolph
right.
at the sex party. Like what? How do we how do we get that to happen? Like I am a girl from Texas. I want to wear my grills. Like I want to be in spaces where there are other Black people that feel like they have some sort of kinship to me outside of just being Black.
Right.
And so that's why I'm like, no, it's not white people shit. And I will scream that from the rooftops, and I will keep trying to find Black people and bring them into the fold as often as I can.
Yeah, I did a episode with Taomi Morgan, and she
Yes.
had a very similar story of, she's like, I'm going to all these places and like I don't see anybody looks like me, like I don't feel welcome. And so I was
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'm gonna create my own. And
Might as well.
all of you like creators that are creating these kink spaces, you guys are thriving and I
Thank
love
you.
it because like it is just growing and growing, and I feel like you're reaching the right kind of people. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. We are finding our people, and it's dope. Like it's just such a good time to just see other people that are just like-minded. And like I said, just I want to be interested in you and I want to be attracted to you. And you can teach me some new things. Like I've had some people
Right.
over the years be like, no, you have to watch this anime or this, da, da, da. And I'm like, okay. And I vibe with it, but I'm like, again, are we going to the Beyonce concert or not? It's not gonna work if you only want to listen to like Nickelback. That's fine a couple of times, but I need something else.
Right. You just need to find your people.
For
I
sure.
love that. So with your personal relationships, like outside of your romantic relationships,
Mhm.
how have you approached introducing that side of your life to like, you know what I mean? Like mending it or not
Yeah.
mending it, but meshing it.
I'm a big blender. People, I tell me that all the time. I'm like, everyone, and my mother knows like my lifestyle. She
Yeah.
follows Urban Play. Like she is on there. She
Hey,
sees the
mom,
post.
come through.
Yeah. She likes the posts and everything. Life's good. When I'm throwing events, she tells her friends about it. She's like, Tootie's throwing this thing in Austin. You should go to it. She's not coming, but she will tell them to
Right.
come.
I love
But yeah,
that.
it was like once it was past like my family, at that point, it just kind of didn't matter. And to be very clear, I work in tech, you know what I'm saying? I work for
Yeah.
myself now, but before that, I worked in tech. And tech is a lot more like accommodating of a lot of
Mhm.
different things. I realized that if I worked in like, a doctor's office or for the government or something, I might have to be a little bit more quiet about my existence.
Yeah.
But my first kink box that I threw that maybe had 50 people at it, about 25 of those people was from my office. Like they were team members of mine that all bought tickets and showed up
Wow.
and like supported me. So it comes up easily, and it's part of why for my personal like Instagram and stuff, like I link that business. Like I'm like, hey, this is also another page for me. This is a part of
Yeah.
who I am. I'm not like actively dating right now, but when I do, like I definitely, one of the first conversations we're having is like, hey, I identify as a sex worker. Not that I necessarily have sex for money, but I participate in the sex industry, in
Right.
order to like generate revenue and to build community and all sorts of other things. So just I'm letting you know that now, like so that ahead of time we don't have problems later when you're like, why are you posting that photo? Why are you ain't got no clothes on?
Right. Right. And I think it's like I think a part of that is like just being in the community, you feel the like pressure is lifted. You're like, okay, this is okay. And
Mhm.
then because it's so, you're like, well, if they can accept it, why can't the people that I love, or why can't the people that care about
Absolutely,
me? So I
absolutely.
definitely have been personally struggling with that because
Yeah.
like Hoeology is my baby, it's my brand. Like I want it to be so much. And so I'm now being like, fuck it. Like this is me. I talk about it in real life. You know what I mean? So like
And
just
it's so
fuck it.
unique and like dope. Like I love it because it's so like unique. I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, when people come up with these really cool ass names, I'll be like, wow, like this is, and you like get the name and the brand and everything matches. And I'm just like, this is super fucking dope. So like you are doing an amazing job. Like just
Thank you.
it's
Oh my
discernment, right? As to like who really needs to know. But at some
God.
point you'll realize that like either no one gives a shit or the people that do are just not worth like my time. Like I'm not having a
Right.
conversation with Bob in HR about the fact that I'm kinky. But if some of my coworkers, you know what I'm saying, were like, what did you do last weekend? Shit, I went to the sex party. It was actually really dope.
Yeah.
It was for Black people. Are you interested? Because I will put you on the invite list for the next one. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's practicing some discernment. I don't want anybody to lose their job or anything from like talking too much at work. But it's the same thing about talking about you going out over the weekend, right? Like we
Right.
know there's a limit and a line. But my day to day, everybody knows it's a part of my world. I invite my friends to shit all the time. I'm like, hey, there's this show or this event that's happening here. Do you want to go? And I'm like, let's dress up and be weird. Like
That's definitely me too. Like I just saw the other day, there's like a naked cruise, like a swingers cruise, but like you don't
Yeah.
have to be swingers. Anybody can go. I was like, me and my husband, we getting on that boat.
Just get on the
We
boat.
getting on that boat.
Get on the boat. Just immerse yourself with other people who are also interested in some weird shit. And then
Right.
you'll get to kind of explore like what your weird shit looks like. I think that's like, because if not, it's the whole like you're a makeup of the people that are around you and the stuff that you listen to and what you consume. And so if everybody around you is super conservative, doesn't want to talk about anything, doesn't talk about sex, like doesn't do whatever, it's like, how are you ever really going to figure it out? And like you can go through that really frustrating long journey of I will just read it on the internet and I'll just read a book or two and but it's like I am a really big fan of baptism by fire. I'm not saying to go out and, get involved in things that are going to cause you harm. But baptism by fire could just be going to the event. Like it could just be going to the event. Like that's why I said earlier, watching is participation. You are participating by watching. And most of the time, probably your first time out, you should just be watching. Just watch.
Right. Yeah. So you said you were in tech and now you work for yourself.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me about what you do.
For sure. We swapped over. So I started a business a couple of years ago that has taken off. We are Six Figure Chick Consulting. So my name is Shaquelle. I'm better known as your favorite six-figure chick. I help people break into tech, scale the corporate ladder, and land six-figure paying jobs. I have a team of 10 people. Yes. People hear the thing and they're like, I know her. And I'm like, yes, just last night I was like walking to dinner and me and this girl like locked eyes, but she kept looking to the point where I had to like turn around and I was like, is she upset? Like, do we have a problem? What is going on? And she was like, I know her, but she wasn't talking at me. She was talking to the person next to me. She was like, I know her. And she was like, I know her from TikTok. And so loudly, I was like, yes, you do. How you doing?
It's so weird these days because when you are a fan of someone online, it's like, how do you go up to them without feeling like, I don't want to be that weird fan, but I am a huge fan.
I'm like, come up, say hi, please. I'm a big fan of hugs. Like I love people. So like come up and say hi. And I'm the kind of person, like, even if I'm having a bad day, I'm still going to say hello to you, hug you, and send you on your way. But yeah, no, people will see me generally and they'll be like, I know you from somewhere. Where are you? Like, what are you on? So yeah, no, we've created an entire brand over there and like started to scale a massive business. It's been very, very good. But yeah, I quit in February. I've just been thugging it out ever since.
Wow. Well, that is huge. And congratulations. And I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you. Look, trying to give myself some more time to do stuff over here too. So it sounds like I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to get this business together. And then I can focus more on this when this is running by itself and I pay my bills. So, we're working on it.
Wow. Well, congratulations and keep it pushing. Speaking of businesses though, I want to talk about the Kink box.
Yeah.
So when I saw your, like the design for it, I was like, this is sultry and sexy. And like, it screams like, come on in, come play. Like, so can you talk to me about the differences between like the traditional spaces and then dungeons?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you are going to an event that is like a showcase, so the Kink box is like a showcase of Black erotic art. And there are a lot of other people who are starting to do things like that. Samaya of Sexual Essentials has like an event coming up. What is it? Black Touch, which is a Black like owned and like ethical porn company. They have an event coming up in Atlanta soon. They have kind of very similar things, but it's like a showcase of art. Then it is just going to likely be performers doing the things to each other. It is a show that's happening and you're not necessarily part of that show. You're getting to observe an actual dungeon. If you're going somewhere that is calling itself a dungeon, there is play happening all around you. So you can think of it more like a sex party. But specifically a kinky sex party. So you can have just sex parties where it's like, cool, we're going to get 50 people together, put them in a house and give them some lube and some condoms. And like, there you go. Kind of the traditional sex party route, but you can have sex parties that are specific to the kink space. And so then they will generally title themselves as dungeons. So if you're going to a dungeon, you should expect St. Andrew's crosses and spanking benches and those types of things. And you can go up and talk to, we call them a demoer or practitioner. They might have different titles that they go by. And you can ask to like play. You can be like, hey, I want to experience this. I would like to do this thing. And they will. And then there's likely going to be play areas around you for like people who came that are not a part of the experience to also play with each other. Dungeons will also have like a, such like a house mother, like a dungeon master, for lack of a better word. So there's somebody that is like, this is your person. You need to come find them if something is wrong. And there's a lot of different people around the room to just observe and make sure that nothing's going too far. If anybody needs help, they can get help, whether it's just that they lost their way a little bit, they got a little scared, they got confused, whatever the case may be. But yeah, kink specific versus just we're having a sex party, or like we're having an art show, because an art show is not the same.
Yes. So for these events, like if someone would be interested in attending one of like the Kink Box's events, what would like the vetting or safety process look like to prepare to go to that type of event?
For sure. So we don't have vetting with mine in particular, and usually so like same thing with Black Touch or with Samaya's event, because they are showcases. So no one should be touching you. So it's just a matter of like, hey, I need you to be 21. That's my rule. You have to be 21 in order to come into this establishment. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I have security there to make sure that like no one gets handsy with any of my performers, or the performers, vice versa, that everyone practices consent. We have an entire consent talk at the beginning of the show. I send out an email ahead of time. Yeah, that's like, hey, this is what consent looks like. Enthusiastic, informed, da, 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 da. Like if somebody does something to you, we will believe you every single time. You can come find, and I will notate out to you people to find if you need help. They're always going to be around the room. But there's not a lot of vetting because there's not a lot of co-mingling, even each other. Like the people that are coming to my events aren't like spanking or hitting or anything. Every now and then we might do what we call like a kink tasting. So for an intermission, we might have somebody that's going to offer like, oh, you want to experience flogging? And then they will have they will negotiate like right then and there. So it will be hi, Destiny, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm Shaquelle. I'm going to flog you today. That sounds like what you're interested in. Is that a yes or a no? Yes. Okay, great. Is there any areas that you don't want me to hit? Wonderful. Is there, anything that you have, any injuries that I should be aware of? What's your pain tolerance level based off of where you think you're at? We're going to have to test that when we get into it, but where do you think you max out at? Some people are like, I max out at a 5. Cool, no problem. So I have you bend over here, put your hands on that. I'm going to get going. Your safe words are red, yellow, green. If you need anything and you don't feel like you can talk, raise your hands. Put your hands up in the air. I will stop. That tells me you need a second and you need me to stop and check in with you. So that's what vetting in the moment looks like. That's what negotiation looks like for a really kind of process. But for some other events, for some other bigger organizations, like I'm a part of Black Queer Dom Society. So that is a house that like I belong to. And we have a vetting process that's like filling out an entire form of what's your experience? What have you done? What are you interested in? How do you identify all of these things? And then there's a background check that'll happen.
That is so good to hear.
There's a background check. Absolutely. That happens. I know some other houses who will have you do like actual interviews. So you fill out your form, you submit whatever, and then you do an interview with someone from the house before you can attend their events. But like BQD Society, all of Sir's events are like private to the society, unless you're being brought in by somebody from the society, and you still have to go through the same vetting form. And then for events, we COVID testing and STI or STD testing as well, which is what will happen for any sex party. Even if it's not a dungeon, if you go to a sex party, they are going to tell you that you need to be able to show like results, usually within the last month. 3 months is cool too, but usually within the last month is what most people will be looking for.
That makes sense. But I'm glad that when there is vetting that's needed for sex parties specifically, that it's that thorough, because you don't want that.
You never know. You never know what you're getting yourself into. And so it's just one of those things. And that's why I like, there are, sex clubs and things like that, and they do their own variation of vetting too. But I like starting smaller. I just take me to somebody's house, bro. Like somebody throwing a house party that's like at 2 a.m. going to turn into a thing where people are like sucking whipped cream off a titty. I'm there. Like I can do that. It's a solid start. That's a little more like it's casual. You don't feel as like so much, antsiness about it. And then you can kind of work your way up to some of the larger events.
Yeah. So it seems like you're pretty, enthusiastic about creating these type of events, these type of spaces for people to be safe in and feel welcome in.
For sure.
But how do you balance that, like being welcoming, while also like being protective of this community? Because I'm sure there's been times where people that shouldn't have been there, or shouldn't have been in this space, were in this space.
Yep. We have that happen a decent amount. For me, it's all in like my marketing. So anything that I put out, any of the content, what's the words I'm looking for, imagery that I use, always Black people every single time. And then when they ask about the event, the Kink Box is a showcase of Black erotic art put on by a Black person for Black people with Black performers and an all Black staff. And that entire statement gets said every single time. Right. So it's just like, hey, if you're coming, you know you're about to be surrounded by a whole bunch of niggas, which I love that for you if you cool with it. Or you're like, oh, like I'm an ally, like whatever. And so for the kink box that we threw back in February, we maybe had like 10 non-Black people in a room of about 100 folks in like total.
Wow.
And most of the non-Black people that were there were partnered with someone that was
Yeah.
Black. I was like, there we go. Y'all came together. All right. This makes a lot more sense. But no, just because we don't do, because like I said, our events are fairly like public. So because we're not doing more vetting in that sense, if I started throwing play parties or anything like that, I get a lot more strict with my vetting. One of the big things I want to do in 2024 is I want to start hosting an every other month situation where we do like a panel. I haven't figured out what to call it yet, but like kinks and bubbles, essentially. Like on a Saturday or Sunday morning, I want to invite some people out. We always have like a set of speakers or people that are going to answer questions. You got your mimosas. We got some little hors d'oeuvres and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you can come out here, meet people in the lifestyle. It's a non-confrontational space, right? Because it's not sex. Like that's why your first thing should not be something sex related. You should go to like a lunch or a parlay, whatever people in your area call them. But I want to start doing things like that so that different people in the community can get to meet each other. And then newbies have this opportunity to submit their questions and get them answered by this panel. And the panel continuously changing, right? Having all sorts of different people from different walks of life, some doms, some subs, some switches, trans people, straight people, queer people, whatever it may be. So that way everyone feels like there's some sort of representation. So yeah, y'all are hearing it here first. But that's a goal that I have for 2024.
I'm so excited for that, especially as someone that is not only nosy, but I'm curious. So
those
types of
things got to get you just, you know what I'm saying? Just slowly start peeking your way into some things like, wow, this is, this what y'all be doing? Like,
I love it. So are you currently a sex educator?
Yeah. So actively, yeah, I do my work. I put out my content. Six-figure chick has taken up so much of my bandwidth and my time. So that is why I'm transitioning to like building a bigger team so that other people can own a lot of that. So I can get back to doing much more of the education that I'd like to do here. A year or so ago, I used to like take clients through Urban Play. Like I would do like one-on-one conversations and things with people. And so at some point, it's something that I want to get back into doing. But as of right now, my education is going to come through the content that's on the page, lives, podcasts, things like this that I get to do with different people in the community. Because so many people need it. And that's the series. What is it? My series, Dear Black Kinkster. This is where people can find a lot, especially Black people can find a lot of the information they need to know about what does this look like and what should I be doing? What are my next steps from here?
Yeah, seriously. I think it's so important too, because you don't know what information is out there, but when you know it comes from someone that is like, they put time, energy, like most importantly, again, time, like into learning what's appropriate, learning like how to navigate this ever expanding world of sex.
Yes. I knew every day. You're like, y'all do what? When did we start doing that? Like,
I love it. So what kind of, if any, sponsorships or partnerships are you looking for right now? Because we do have a couple that listen. So let me know what you're looking for.
Because I want to talk about some things. So one of the big ones is I'd like to continue to do stuff like this. How can I get into spaces where I can answer questions for people? I love not necessarily private events, but things where people can come off of mute or type questions into a chat so that we can answer them, because we think we know what people want to know. And then you get into a call and they're asking totally different questions. And you're like, oh, well, fuck it. Let's go with what y'all said. Like I knew, but let's go with what you said. So yeah, opportunities to just get to collaborate with others that are in this space or who have communities that need to learn or want to learn more about how to kink safely, and just like how do they find out more information? Where do they start? Where did they go from? Because we were all new. I went to my first sex party I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe. Like my first official one. I used to throw house parties at 2 a.m. If you were still there, you knew what the fuck was happening. But
you know what's going on around here.
You know why you're here. But I went to my first official, hey, closed container, you're paying money, you're getting vetted in, to come into here. And the first night I just sat there and I didn't know what to do. And I was just like, okay. And then I came back the second night. I didn't mean to come back 2 nights in a row. I just accidentally bought 2 tickets and I was like, fuck it. Might as well. Right. Even day 2, I walked in day 2, closed off immediately. I was like, oh, I know a little bit more now. Like I'm in here, I'm ready. So it doesn't take much, but just
Mhm.
getting people that information and that confidence to be able to walk in the first time. So that way they can keep going again and again and again and really explore what they're interested in. But yeah, I just, podcast opportunities, lives, collaborations in that space is really what I'm looking for right now. Because it gets to expand everybody's reach and then it allows people to get the education that they need that they're not getting from the people that don't look like us.
Right, right. Big facts. Last couple questions. I know
Yeah.
you said you're in Austin.
Mhm.
Um, do you do events strictly in Texas or do you also travel outside? I feel like a lot of kink events are in Atlanta because that's where all the
There are
black
so
people
many
are.
things in Atlanta. There are so many things in Atlanta. Trust me, I'd be upset about it. I'd be like, what are y'all doing in Atlanta again? Like, can we do something somewhere else, please? Just let me go somewhere else. But yeah, so most of our things are here in like Austin for now until we start to get bigger. And from like a sponsorship standpoint, and again, more just time invested so that I can kind of tour. I would love to tour. As touring I want to do with both of my businesses, to be honest. But I would love an opportunity to like tour to different places. But we are Austin based and we do our events here. One of the big things that we share and something that I want to get started. I have so many big ideas. This is why I own so many damn businesses because I'm like, start a new thing. But one
Wait,
of the
what's
things
your
that
zodiac sign?
I just all the time, just start something new every single time. And it's like, you gotta relax, focus on this one first. But I want to create like an event calendar. So that way people can like come and put their events on that calendar and then people can
Yeah.
filter down by a city and then just figure out things. There is ATX Black Poly and Play that's here that does some pretty consistent events in Austin. Houston has Kink Media that does events
Wow.
consistently out there. So there's stuff everywhere. It's just you don't know, but we put these things in our stories all the time as of right now, just to make sure that people see the different events happening in different areas. But yeah, Houston, New York, and Atlanta, y'all got to stop doing events there. Please, for anybody listening, please come somewhere else. Like I just would like
We tired.
I would just like to go. So I cannot keep flying to Atlanta. Give me something.
Right. I hope
Miami.
you got a Delta rewards or something because
That's it. And I fly Delta, but please send me somewhere else.
yeah. Yeah. That's hilarious. And very true. I'm actually going to Atlanta in like 2 weeks for this conference. But yeah, I'm
Is it at the beginning of November?
the 11th. Yeah, it's Essence. They're having their Girls United conference.
Okay. I
Yeah.
got you. I'm gonna say if you want to come like a week earlier, I'm over here promoting other people's shit. This ain't even my thing. But Black Touch is doing their event, and it's their like. And now, to be very clear, I will be very candid when I say this. Both Black Touch and Samaya's event, which is I think called the Exhibit. It's like Art Exhibit. It's like XXX. Those are performances that dive into live things just happening. So
What does that even mean? What?
they be fucking. And I just don't want somebody to show up and be like, I thought I was gonna watch somebody get their ass beat. And then it's like, well, you are. And then a little bit more. And so I love it. I think it's dope. It's like really, really cool. I went to Samaya's event last year in Houston and I was like, fuck yes. Like this is great. But I don't want people to be like, why did I show up to this? I did not notice what they was doing here. But that event is going to be in Atlanta. I think they're doing it the 3rd and the 4th, maybe. So just saying, if you and the husband want to come a little early, have a little rendezvous in Atlanta, it's stuff going on.
Always, right? I mean, so do you have any events coming up at all for yourself and your brand?
We do not right now. Like I said, 2024, I want to start doing some of these every other month parlay situations. This little kinks and bubbles. I really think I'm just gonna call it kinks and bubbles because I love
I have a
it.
name for you.
Like,
And
bro,
if I give you this name, you have to use it.
bro, see, because you out here with the Hoeology. I told you earlier, y'all creative people are so smart, and that is not my zone of genius.
Listen, you could have it because it's a good name. It's Roseanne Lingerie.
I love that.
You could have it, girl.
Saying?
You could have it.
Because I just want them to come get a little, you know what I'm saying, get a little inhibitions loose a little bit with a little champagne, and then they can ask all their questions.
Yeah.
But no, that's something that we're trying to get into for next year. I do want to bring the kink box back next year. That's a thing that I'd love to do as well. But this other business is whooping my ass. So y'all gonna have to catch me on y'all gonna have to catch me on Instagram right now. But I
Yeah.
promise I will put it out there when we are doing more and more. And then there may be events too that are, like I said, collaborations with the Black Queer Dom Society, since that's a house that I'm a part of. And as of 2024, I know Sir is trying to throw more events in more spaces and get more people into the society in some of the hotspots that aren't, quite like hotspots for Black people. So somewhere like
Right.
Austin, because Houston is full, right? Dallas is doing great. DMV is good,
Full.
but I'm over here in Austin and I'm like, it's just me. Would anybody like to join and have dinner or
Right.
something?
Right. Well, I cannot wait to see what else you have coming up in 2024. And I will be reposting and supporting as much as I can.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
so much. Thank you.
of
Thank you.
course. But I think that's all. Do you have anything you want to say to our listeners?
You know, stay kinky, my friends. Like, please have a good time. And explore as much as you want to. Truthfully, give yourself grace. Like I said, what you do or don't like today, you may like later or not like later. It is okay for you to change your mind. It is okay for you to want to explore things. It's okay to try something, be in the middle of it, and be like, this is not for me. I would like to stop. You are always welcome to do those things. And I want to make sure that you know it. And to all my Black Kinksters, I know sometimes we go to events, and it's just us. We're the only person here that looks like us. You do not have to be a fetish for someone. Own your
Oh, I
space.
love that.
Own your space. Own what experience you want to have. You get to set your intentions with that night. And I promise you, if you say it out loud, there is somebody in that room that is willing to make that shit happen. You just have to say it out loud so that other people know. People can't read your fucking mind. That is it. That is all. But I appreciate you. I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here. I was like, oh my goodness, I got this thing to do. I'm be on this podcast. Like, this is gonna be great. So I appreciate you for allowing me to be here and for just spending some time with me today. This has been really, really dope.
It is. I'm so grateful. I know you're a very busy woman. But thank you so much for being on and happy hoeing.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody.